right, so yesterday was the spring equinox, and with winter being done, and the thing I wanted to focus on in winter was coming up with a really clear way to lay out a master plan. Now that I have this out of the way, I want to integrate the approach that I've come up with the quantum memoir. So what I'm doing now is taking that same outline and breaking things up into a 3-moon calendar. And in order to come up with the actual prompts for this, I'm using the quantum memoir solar cycle. So this is really an adaptation of the quantum memoir solar cycle, or like the 1-year cycle, and the 12-week year strategy that I found on YouTube. So I want to break things down and say if the next 3 months were a full year, how would this work out? So I start off with the introduction, and I'm really just going through the metadata that I have. It's just a way to set things up. Then I dive into exactly what it is that quantum memoir has as prompts. So the way that quantum memoir gets started is with their new visual notes page that they published. So going through it, how am I going to stay focused? I want to be sticking to these astral doorway chakra meditations so I can develop effective courses. I'm going to be doing 3 daily tasks a day just so I don't get overburdened. And then I want to focus on gratitude. What skills am I going to need? Consistency, intuition, and humor. And the purpose that I'm working on for the next 3 months is the DEG website. Why does this purpose matter? And this is going to serve as an example for how other business ecosystems to have a positive impact for smallholder farmers. And I think this is something that I really want to consistently come back to is I don't care about advancing the lives of rich people. Like there's a lot of people who, I mean, this is really where Comagri, Norm all started. I had such like a distorted view of reality coming out of college, just wanting to go to Haiti to volunteer as a bucket list item. And then I get down there and it completely changed my perspective. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And if we can use something like this, a company wants to completely transform the economy of a nation. But how can we do that so it impacts smallholder farmers? A farmer that has a 1/4 acre, a single acre. How can they be put into a really good situation? And that's what I want to keep in mind when I'm creating this website for DEG. So what's motivating me here? I want to help my family. If I'm putting together these plans and I'm helping complete strangers bring this to life, similar to like the Jordan Peterson clean your room. Like if I'm trying to decentralize institutions, like, well, how about the institution of the family? I don't think it really makes sense for anyone to go out and say what others should be doing unless they can implement it in their own lives. So I really like the fact that I'm helping my uncle here. What else is motivating me? This new term that really came into my purview in the past week, ecological succession. I really like the idea of ecological succession because it's like, if you're creating an open source community, you start from the very beginning about succession. And if we're doing ecological succession specifically, that's getting more into the permacultural term. And the permacultural term of ecological succession is about how we can take a bare plot of land, I really overshot this, how we can take a bare plot of land, bare bedrock, and turn it into a climax community. That's what ecological succession is. And that's what like each step within this business ecosystem master plan or succession plan, that's what it's all about. How can we take your initial idea, your bare bedrock, turn it into lichen and moss, and then annual ground covers, and then more like perennials, shrubs, trees, and then mature trees, and a full ecosystem of animals, fungi, and vegetation that can sustain itself. That's what you're building when you create a biomimicry business ecosystem. And that's really what this idea of ecological succession is, because if we can apply this to DEG, if we can apply this to any other company, then this is something that we can bring to the real world. If you look at these refugee camps that are around the world, I mean, they look like if you've seen District 9, that's exactly what they look like. Why can't we be bringing Buckminster Fuller geodesic domes and creating all of the things that we want to do on Mars? Why can't we do that here? Why can't we try to terraform one of these refugee camps so that people can have really healthy food, they can have a thriving economy, anything that we would want to do on Mars? If we can't do it here for the people who need it most, then it's a complete fucking waste of time. And what else is motivating me? I mean, similar to the last point, what I was just saying, I want to make the world more fun for people. There's no reason for people living in refugee camps to not be exploring their creativity. What's the greatest lesson from the last year or the last 3 moon phase? Visual stories are where it's at. So whether I'm creating a course, whether I'm putting out something like this, like how am I going to be able to turn this into a visual story to really tie it all together? So this was from the visual notes page from Quantum Memoir. And then now I translate that into the 3 moon Quantum Memoir map here. And I just say that what I'm doing for the next 3 months is, as it relates to DEG, is a website. One other aspect that I did here, this is more related to what I'm doing with oS3, but I did a 6 moves of how I'm working for Hue 3, Train Farb, and DEG over the next 3 months, the next 3 moons. And these just had a more granular sense. So like these 2 circles here are the first moon. So this is like from the new moon to the full moon, and then the full moon back to the new. And this is the 2nd moon and the 3rd moon. And this takes me from, for Hue 3, I'll be going from publishing this 0.9.0 lesson all the way up to publishing the 3.6.0 lesson by June 16th. JR's Joyous Creations, I'm going to be starting with just this 0.9.0 PDF, getting it up on GitHub, and I'll be ending with a case study. And for DEG, this week I'm finishing up 0.9.0 PDF, getting them on GitHub, and then also I'll be ending with a website. So that's really how this worked. I started off with this, but I think in the future, maybe I'll do it a little differently, but this is how I'm doing it for right. After this, I'm going to be jumping into the 1 moon or the lunar cycle for Quantum Memoir using this exact same process.